Okay, so let's talk about the chords for a blues type chord progression. Now, there's any number of chords that could be used for a blues song, and any number that are used in actual blues songs. But you find that there are three chords that are particularly popular in a lot of the well-known, very popular blues songs. So we're gonna break those down and focus on those for this lesson. Okay, so let's start with a chord you may already be familiar with, the E major chord. Okay, so alright, so we're going to start with the E major. We're going to modify this chord into another type of chord by making an alteration to the fingers to make it into a dominant seventh chord, which is typically referred to as simply just a seventh chord. So let's raise the ring finger off the string, and now we have an E7 chord. Okay, so notice the difference in the sound there. This chord sounds very stable and complete, and this seventh chord has this tension or slight instability. Okay, that gives it that bluesy feel. Okay, now we're going to retain this same chord, but we're going to change the fingering of the chord so we can have some options of manipulating the chord in other ways. Okay, so let's take our middle finger and put it on the third string, first fret, and then ring finger on the fifth string, second fret. Okay, same chord, same sound. Now, if you imagine replacing the nut of the guitar with your finger, now you wouldn't need to do that in the first position, obviously, but this will allow us to slide this chord up the fretboard and still have a seventh chord. It's just going to change the key, of course, as you slide up the fretboard. So this was an F7. Here's an F sharp 7. Here's a G7. Okay. Alright, so that chord is typically going to be your first chord in a typical popular blues song. Okay, so let's look at the other two chords. They're going to be the same fingering. They'll just be in different locations on the fretboard. So let's start assembling this chord by looking at a C major chord, which you may already be familiar with, hopefully. Okay, we're going to make this into a C7 chord by placing the pinky on the third string, third fret. Okay. Now again, we're going to shuffle our fingers around here to retain this chord quality while giving us some flexibility with moving the chord around. Okay, so notice this little triangle of fingers here. Okay, this triangle of the second, third, and fourth finger. We're going to replace that triangle, but retain the sound of it by shuffling our fingers around here. So we're going to go to the fourth string, second fret, fifth string, third fret with the middle finger, and then the ring finger will go to the third string, third fret. Okay. Now that's an abbreviated version of a seventh chord. So let's round that out by placing the pinky on the second string, third fret, and now we have a ninth chord. Now listen to the quality of this chord. Okay, it's kind of an odd sounding chord if you just play it by itself, but when we put it in context, it has a nice effect. So now we're going to refer to the fifth string here, the middle finger note, to know what chord this is. In other words, this is a C note on the fifth string, third fret right here. So this is going to be a C9 chord. And we can move this chord, and it changes chords as we go. So C, C sharp, D9. Okay, so let's put this together now with the G7. and see what kind of progression we can come up with here. So this is going to be your first chord in the progression, and the C9 will be your second chord in the progression, and then the D9 will be the third chord. And if you're acquainted with intervals, that will be the 1 chord, this will be the 4th chord, this will be the 5 chord. Okay? Now, notice here the relationship of the root notes of the chords, and that will help you keep track of where they are physically on the fretboard in relation to one another. So there's your root note on G there, and there's your C, and there's your D. Notice the little triangle. That will also help you keep track of your resolving notes and your soloing, which I address in another video. Okay, so let's see what this sounds like when we put it all together. Okay, so you can see how in context those ninth chords have a color to them that's very pleasing in combination with the 7th chord. So that combination of chords is going to be able to be used for most of your very popular songs by your major artists like Stevie Ray Vaughan or Eric Clapton or the Albert King. Muddy Waters. You're going to find a lot of the popular songs from these guys use this very chord progression, and it's going to be in different keys, of course, but it doesn't matter which key you're in. You just have to figure out which key it is, and then make your 1 chord with the root note on the 6th string here, and then find your 4 and 5 chords. They're going to be in the same relative locations anywhere you play this chord progression on the fretboard. Okay, so look up some of your favorite songs and see if you can figure out how to get through the rhythm progression with these chords. And experimentation will be the way that you will master this technique. So, and as always, practice, practice, practice.